everyone, and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. My name is Ashley, and today we're going to be making bath bombs. And I had a lot of questions about the bath bombs that I make and people messaging me. So I thought the easiest way would be to just do a YouTube video. That way it could be shared around or saved, and you guys would be able to do this. So let's get started. I have been kind of obsessed with bath bombs for a while, and I kept trying different ones, and I would love some and I would not like other ones. And so I started researching the ingredients to just try and figure out why I like certain ones better. And one of the ones that I really fell in love with was one of the companies that sends jewelry inside. And while the jewelry is really fun and that's something great to do every once in a while, you know, birthdays or holidays or things like that, I can't really justify spending $17, $15 on a bath bomb every time I want to use one, because I love using them. Plus, I'm kind of picky about ingredients, and I just wanted to make sure that the things that I was soaking in would be good for my body. So I'm going to talk to you guys a bit about my recipe, and I'll post in the description the recipe that I have figured out so that you guys don't have to try to follow along for the video. Basic bath bombs are going to be Epsom salt, citric acid, baking soda, cornstarch, and then oils and fragrance. And that's just like your basic bath bomb. And there were some things that I really wanted that I wasn't getting out of that like basic bath bomb. So I have added dead sea salt, which is going to be like an exfoliant for your body. It's really good for you. And SLSA, which is sodium lauryl sulfoacetate, and I will talk to you more about this as we're mixing, but this is what's going to make your bath bomb foam and bubble. For the oils, you can really use anything. You could use olive oil if you wanted to. You can use coconut oil. I am using a blend of fractionated coconut oil, jojoba oil, sweet almond oil, and avocado oil. And I am using essential oils for my fragrances. Today, I already mixed up my oils, and I'm using freesia, lilac, violet, and sandalwood, and it smells fantastic. So I already have mine mixed up. And what I just love is when you're doing this, your kitchen is going to smell amazing for days afterwards. It's fantastic. So we'll go ahead and get started. I have a bowl here and a sifter. I just like running everything through the sifter so you don't wind up with clumps. I'm just going to cut my head off here, but I figured it was better for you to see what I'm doing. So we're going to do 2 cups of baking soda. I can get this out here. A little tight. And what's great about this is you can buy these ingredients, you can keep them around, and they make so many bath bombs. So instead of going to expensive places and buying them all the time, you can just make them at home and save yourself some money, and then you can have the exact colors that you want, the exact scents that you want. I really enjoy choosing all that stuff myself. So now we're going to do 1 cup of citric acid. And I ordered all this stuff off of Amazon. See, this is why I sift it through because you're going to get chunks like that just from packaging. Some of this stuff is actually cheaper to buy in the store, I think, because of how much it weighs. So things like baking soda, cornstarch, Epsom salts, you can actually find those things cheaper at your grocery store. Now we're going to do half a cup of Epsom salts. Now not all of the Epsom salts are going to run through the sifter. Some of them are going to be bigger, and that's fine. You can just dump them in afterwards. And I'm going to do 1/4 cup of dead sea salt. We're going to do 1/4 cup of cornstarch. Excuse me, half a cup of cornstarch. That is going to, this is like what's going to bind them together. It's a little short. And we are just going to sift those. Now we haven't added the SLSA yet, and that's because it's kind of powdery. And when you try to run it through the sifter, it kind of gets into the air, and that will get into your nose and make you cough. So I like to add that afterwards. So we're just going to run this through. Now what I found was that the sodium lauryl sulfoacetate is what makes it bubble. You use it in a lot of soaps and things like that. There is other ingredients that companies will use instead, like polysorbate 20, polysorbate 80, and sodium sulfate, and those are all chemical-based ingredients, and they are a lot cheaper. But I prefer to use more natural ingredients. So this sodium lauryl sulfoacetate is actually derived from coconut and palm oil. So it does what I want it to do, and it still feels amazing on my skin, and I don't have to worry about what's in it. So you can also use gloves to do this if you don't want this stuff on your hands. But honestly, it just makes my hands really, really soft anyway, so I don't mind, and the color wears off if you're using dyes. So this is the SLSA, and I'm going to do 1/3 of a cup. You can kind of see that already going up in the air. Now the one thing you have to be careful about when you're mixing is that you don't activate the ingredients, because they are you're making something that's going to dissolve and have a reaction and bubble and foam, and it hits the water, and you are adding liquid to it. So you want to mix it very slowly. Right here I have like 1 3/4 ounces of the oils that I mixed together. I have a food scale, so I just weighed them out. And I have these tiny little glass jars so that if I don't use it all, I can save it. And I already added my essential oils. So you just want to start mixing it in just little bits at a time. Kind of run it in a circle and mix it in. And what you're wanting is for it to be kind of like a damp sand texture. This already smells so good. Now I'm using Wilton colorant that I use for my cakes. I do like fondant cakes and things like that. And so if you wanted to go a more natural route with that as well, you could just leave out the color, or you could use whatever colorant you feel comfortable using. I know there's some more natural ones that you could go with, but I really like my Wilton colors. I feel like they make it really vibrant. So I'll try to show you this. It's looking a little clumpy. So you just want to keep stirring it. You could do this with your hands too if you didn't want to use the whisk or have more utensils. So when I was doing my research, what I really wanted was very colorful bath bombs. I wanted them to float. I don't like when they're so heavy that they sink to the bottom and they just fizz. And then I really wanted that foam and bubbles. So these with the SLSA in them, those of you who don't know me, I have 4 children, so that's what you're hearing up there. So if you use these and you put them in the bath while the bath water is running, you will get a lot of really light, fluffy bubbles. And if you do it once your bathtub is completely full, you're going to get that really thick, rich foam on the top, which is what I really like. So I feel like it just helps get into your skin more. And I spent months and months doing research on this stuff and figuring out all the ingredients, and it took me 3 batches to try and figure out like how much of everything that I wanted to do, until I found what I really liked and what worked for me, and that is this one. So hopefully you guys like this too, and what's really great about it is you can tweak it yourself, and the ingredients really aren't that expensive. My husband was more than happy to get me all the ingredients to do my own than having me buy the expensive bath bombs that I liked so much. Mine is still not quite where I want it, so I might add some more of one of my oils, and I'll let you see this here. So what you want it to do is you want it to hold together like a ball of sand would. And this is still kind of falling apart a little bit. So I'm just going to keep adding a little bit more of my oils, just my straight oils that I have, until it kind of fits what I'm looking for. And then you are going to be adding, if you choose to do color, you are going to be adding the colorant to it, so that will help thicken it up a little bit too. You'd be surprised how much color you have to use, but food dye is really inexpensive as well. So there we go. So now when I squeeze it, it stays in its shape. And that's exactly what you're looking for. So if you wanted to do just white bombs, you could go ahead and just do this as is. I'm going to separate mine so that I can color it. I will do one color for you guys so you can see this. I use these little bamboo sticks for my gel colors. Now what I like about the gel colors is because they're not really liquidy, you don't really run the risk of activating the bomb, which is what we want to avoid. So I'm just going to stir in this color. Once it gets in there a little bit, I'll put this down so you can see. I'm just gonna use my hands, and you do get dye on your hands this way, but it washes off pretty easily. Now I bought molds off Amazon from it's called Healthy Home Helper, and they work perfect. They're actually made for bath bombs, and they come in a set with 3 different sizes. So I really like that. But you can also use cookie cutters or other things. I do Beachbody, so I have the 21 Day Fix containers, and I actually made some with those the other day. So let's see if I can put you guys down here and kind of see how to do this. So here is I made this bright orange color. I'm going to take one of my bath bomb molds here. This is the smallest one. And I usually get about 1.5 ounce mold with this. So I really use these for my kids. But you want to kind of press it down in there. You don't want to do it too tight or it won't, it'll be too dense and it won't float. So I'm going to fill up this side. You want to make sure that they're a little over filled all the way around. So this one's missing some there. So we'll put that together. And then you just want to press them together, kind of wipe off the excess. I usually wind up with mine being slightly open, but you can clean up the edge when you take them out. I'm going to make sure it's squeezed in there really good. Now you can also do this with the ornaments that you get at the craft store, where you can make your own Christmas ornaments. You can leave them in those to harden, or use them as the packaging to give the gifts. I like these, and I just take a spoon, kind of tap it out. You'll hear it kind of start to be hollowed. Let's see. There we go. I usually just clean up the sides a little bit, just so they look pretty, but you don't have to do that. And there you have it. Smells so good. And I don't do anything fancy with mine. I actually have this box that I just put some like a painter's tarp down underneath, so that it had something soft to sit on, and I put a paper towel on top, and then I just leave them to rest in there like that. You can put them on a hard surface to dry, but it'll leave a flat spot on it, and I like mine to look pretty and round when I do them in the ball shape. So I have a cookie cutter here. I can show you guys how to do this one real quick too. These can be a little trickier because they don't tap out as easily, but you just want to lay like a paper towel down underneath to kind of catch it and press down, and you just spoon in and kind of press down into the bottom as you go, and that'll kind of get it all the way around the edge there. And these are fun to do little shapes or things for different holidays. I'm doing a heart right now. You could do that for Valentine's Day, or you could do a pumpkin or a snowman. And these will lay flat on the bath as they foam out, which I think is nice. The balls will roll around as you do that. So you just kind of use the back of the spoon to press it down. You can use your palm if you want to. I like to kind of wipe away the edges there. And you can see it's holding in there really well. And then you can just kind of lightly press it out. There we go. And here you would have your heart-shaped one. And I use the food scale to weigh mine, just so I kind of have an idea of how much they weigh, each one. I make the small ones for my kids because they like to play with them in there. If you're just wanting to use them for like a foot spa or something, you'd want something smaller and not, you know, like a 6-ounce ball, which you could make these. So that is it. It's really simple, and I was actually really intimidated when I first looked into trying to do them myself, because I thought this huge business that charges so much for them, it can't be that simple, but it really is. And you know, you saw the tiny bit of ingredients that I had to use, so you can make batch after batch after batch. And with this recipe, I have been getting about 9 bath bombs. I do 4 of the large size, 3 of the medium size, and 2 of the small ones. I'll just show you guys. This is the large one. So this is a big bath bomb when you make it with that one. That's my favorite. And then here's the medium-sized one, which is still fairly good size. And then the small one, which I just did. Now you want these to feel dense, but not too heavy. So it's kind of a little bit of trial and error. You know, if you overpack them, the worst thing that's going to happen is that it just sinks to the bottom. It doesn't float as well. So if you don't care about them floating, then you don't have to worry about it. Thanks so much for checking out this video, and if you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments below and I will try to answer those for you. Or if you have something else that you really enjoy that you're wanting me to try, I love doing craft type things and figuring out the best way to do it. So thank you so much for stopping by, and hopefully I'll see you back soon.